Now the audio. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 834. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and staying subscribed to the show. Please visit the Mike Tech Show at miketechshow.com. You can email me questions and suggestions for show topics at miketechshow@gmail.com. Got 2 emails that I will read at the end of the show. Please visit the YouTube page at youtube.com/MichaelSmithMTS. And while you're there, please click subscribe. I really appreciate it. This show is brought to you by Instant House Call. Remotely support your clients unattended and on demand for remote access. If you are an IT pro or an MSP, this is what you need. This is what you need to support your clients, to be able to remote in. You can do it, have unattended or just a single connection where you can set up where they can just download the client and it's all configured and they can click, start session, you're connected. We use this every day for our clients. So give it a try. Please go to instanthousecall.com. Don't forget to use the promo code MikeTechShow for your free 15-day trial. This show is also brought to you by MagnusBox, the best online backup service that you can get. Well, you do get it. You are assigned a server where you manage all of your accounts and you have the dashboard to manage all the backups. Nice, great summary of everything. It's how I quickly know what's happening with a backup for a device. We are 73 devices and counting for all clients that want to make sure they have a backup. I have a story for tonight that involves MagnusBox. They support all Windows versions, including Windows Server, Linux, Mac. It's everything you need. Go to magnusbox.com and don't forget to tell them you heard it here on the Mike Tech Show. You will get free white labeling and 3 months for 50% off the platform fee for your first 3 months. Give them a try. magnusbox.com. All right. Tonight's show is all about stories from the trenches. I have, I think, 9 stories that I'm going to cover, all sorts of different areas. Some are easy and simple. Some are a little more complex. Took a little time, and I'm going to just dive in and start talking about them. I have 2 emails, like I said, at the end of the stories. So let's get started. First story, a new client on Monday. And I wanted to just outline what we do and then what's going to happen. So it's a very small CPA firm, only 3 people. And we were meeting 2 of them, one who kind of takes care of the IT when she's there, and the owner of the business. And the first thing we do, my son and I were there, on first contact, we always want to know, what are your pain points? So one of the systems could only connect via Wi-Fi. Wired wasn't working. They had a printer issue. Then they had an issue, but it got fixed, but they're in danger. Their current Buffalo NAS has been having some issues, and they've had to reboot it a couple times. So, of course, on the list is going to be to replace the NAS with a new Synology NAS. So, as I was talking, my son took out his USB stick and started hitting all of the systems. 5 computers total. Hit them and ran SIW. That's what we run that gets us an HTML report. I talk about this a lot. I bought the technician's license for $79 years ago. It's a lifetime license. One time. Incredible. Love that program. And that gives us a quick snapshot of everything on the system. So he starts collecting all of these. And then as we're talking, we notice they had Norton and they were going to renew. And they luckily it has expired. And I was so glad. I said, look, we'll put Malwarebytes Premium on all the systems. So we started doing that. Things were getting comfortable. I said, I would like to put a remote access program on the systems so we can just connect and help you. So now my son's mission as he was doing the SIW was putting Malwarebytes Premium on, activating it, and that's after, uninstalling Norton, doing a scan, and then getting instant house call set up. So after a little bit, I started joining in on that. Now, things that we noticed as we were hitting the systems. All we needed was a switch because they had a line for one of the printers and it was really close to the system that was only Wi-Fi. I said, we can get a 5-port switch that we have in the car, put it right here. We can get this one system wired. We took care of that. Something we noticed, that one system was still Windows 7. No. We're actually going back out there. We're going to be upgrading that. But before we do that, we're going to clone the drive to a solid state drive. One of the systems, a newer system, has a solid state drive. All the other computers were mechanical, and one was just so bad. I said, let's retire that. Let's shut that off. Let's not spend any money on that and put that off to the side. So we're going to be playing musical computers, and we got everything coordinated. I did a summary of everything that we wanted to do. One system needs RAM. We solved all of their immediate problems, and then I emailed them a quote for Synology, and we're now getting ready to schedule going out there, 3 systems getting the solid state drives. So we're going to do 3 clones at the same time. And while after we clone, then we're going to upgrade the one Windows 7 system to Windows 10. So I like the idea of the system we're retiring, putting that off to the side. It was Windows 7. It was slow, but it does work, and there's a lot of older programs. If we run into a problem, we can work it out where we don't allow that on the internet maybe, and they can run that software, whatever they need. So I don't know if that's going to stay off all the time, but got to see what happens after the one system gets upgraded. Luckily, the one user was already Windows 10, and they're using a lot of the same software. So anyway, that is the story from Monday for a few hours when we're out there. Now, let's fast forward to Tuesday night, because remember I was talking about Mastercam and we moved the licensing. These post files that they need to tie to the license so they can build the items they're designing. They have a critical job. The post files weren't ready yet. So I'm dealing with the reseller SimQuest, who is where my client buys all the licensing and gets support for Mastercam. I was very lucky to get a director, and he even called me back on my cell, and it was great. So from his cell. So now I have his cell phone number. I said, this has to get done, and it's got to get done before 6 o'clock tonight. So the engineer who's hanging around to do this is going on vacation the next day. This job has to get done. He beat up the post division that does all this, that ties these files to the license number. Got them to me at 5:30. I call the engineer. I quickly upload the fixed post files, and he's good, and that job gets done. And I'm on site with this client on Wednesday morning, and it was just great having smiles, and the engineering division was happy. The CFO was happy. This job that they had to get done got finished, and then I hit all the other engineering workstations and made this update. So that was good, and it was nice having someone that took ownership of the problem, and even though he couldn't do it, he made sure it got done, and that's all you can ask from a vendor. So that was SimQuest. A big thumbs up to them. Now, this is a little story. It doesn't seem important, but I wanted to cover something. So a new system that, again, Saturday I talked about, that's in Boca Raton, Florida, and I scheduled Sunday because we did the show on Saturday, and I mentioned that Sunday my son was going to get it all hooked up, and then I'm going to get in because I got to do a restore from MagnusBox. Well, did the restore from MagnusBox fast, no problem. Got all of his files, his Chrome settings, everything that I had backed up. Happy camper. Everything working great. Then I had to turn on encryption, copy the key for a backup. That's important for another story coming up here. And then after the restore, something I noticed while I was working on this system remotely. It's Windows 11 Pro. And I have 3 annoyances that I want to hit you with that I have not had time to see if there's a solution. They're just little annoyances. Nothing major, but just something that bothers me. And I ran it by my son, and it also bothers him. We have a lot of copy and pasting. Why did they bury, when you right-click, you don't get copy and paste? If you're on a directory or on a file or on the desktop, you got to go more options. You have an extra step, and then you can get copy and paste. Then you got to right-click again after it's viewable. Is there a way to move the copy and paste so you get it on the initial right-click? That I would love, and I will share the answer to that. Another annoyance. Why is it so complex to change the extension? Like if I want a browser and I want to change the default to Chrome, it brings up a screen that I got to change that on 20 other extensions, where Windows 10 and previous, you do it one place and it changes all of the associated extensions for browsing. Okay, I like the detail, but there should be an option that takes care of everything, and then if you want to go back to the detail and make a slight change, you can. So that's an annoyance. Is there something that you can run? Is there a utility that we can keep that can force that and all of the associated extensions to change? Well, you don't have to sit and manually do that. Just an annoyance. And then another little annoyance, and I think that this bothers my son more than me. If you right-click on the toolbar, well, guess what? Task Manager isn't there anymore. So now you got to hit Control-Alt-Delete. And then remember, if you're remoting in, you can't hit Control-Alt-Delete. You got to hit the key that's going to send the Control-Alt-Delete to the system. Why can't we right-click and get Task Manager? Anyway, and I know I shared a tip that you have to, I think it's Control-Shift-Escape, something like that, and you can get it. But an annoyance. And you know what? I would like, Control-Shift-Escape. There you go. That's what I'm doing now. If you have Windows 11 annoyances, hit me up, and maybe we just do a Windows 11 annoyance show, and I'll collect the answers to these, and maybe give me ones that I haven't mentioned, and I'll try to figure out an answer, that's some way to make it quicker, and I think that would be a cool show, since we're now dealing with Windows 11 more and more and more. So that would be very, very cool. Okay. I got a problem that I got to deal with tomorrow. SureWeb activated Proofpoint for a client, and this was on Sunday. I made all the proper DNS changes, but every time I sent an email, and by the way, the changes, I triple checked. They were perfect, and I gave it time. Every email I sent got automatically rejected. Yes. Every email, and no matter what account, it rejected every email inbound. I had to quickly change the DNS back so they wouldn't have any issues. I put an email up to SureWeb, and they're just getting back to us. And that was Sunday. This is Thursday. Boy, Dexter, you're correct. So it's now, and I got two other things I got to call. I'm going to be on the phone tomorrow with SureWeb with 3 different issues that I need them to address and work on with me. So I think they fixed it, and I'm going to try tomorrow. I'm going to test and see if that works, but I'm working on that. And all that was just activating Proofpoint encryption, which normally is a piece of cake and just takes they take 24 hours, they get it up and running. I make the DNS changes the next day. Boom, all's good. Well, no, not now. All right. Client in Anaheim, California calls a few days ago, panic, his system will not boot. We tried everything. So it's not under warranty. It's a Lenovo. We have to find a Lenovo authorized dealer, because someone that knows those laptops. And we find one, and I have him go there. He says it was real close to him, so I was online, found one. Now, his hard drive, because of his industry and what he does, it is encrypted. Whole disk, BitLocker encryption, and I have the backup key. And that's a good thing, because they found it wasn't the drive, it was the motherboard. So they ordered the motherboard, took a couple days, they got it in, they put it in, and now he has to share the BitLocker key in order for the system to boot. And I said, you can give that to them, because we're going to change it. Because once he got back, gave him the key, they got in, everything's running. I decrypted the drive, so turned off BitLocker, turned it on again, and created a new key that we now have. He has a copy, I have a copy of the key, and we're good. But the moral of that story, you have to make a backup of the BitLocker key, no matter what it takes. Even now, let's say you're doing it remotely, and we've ran into this, and the client doesn't have a USB key to save the file, because you have to save it to a non-encrypted drive, not the same drive you're encrypting. Makes sense? So when you save the file, what we do, there's an option to print. So you print it, and then when it was done, I had the client, scan that in and create the PDF on the computer, and then I just copied it remotely. You don't want him emailing that, because that's the whole idea for the security. So I'm just giving you ideas. You can print that key out. And I let that be his backup and said, put that in a locked, secure location. And so you always have it. So I've had to do that in the past. We are seeing an uptick in laptop issues. Now, they're older laptops. And as a matter of fact, I don't think you can see, but behind me, there are, on the workbench, there are 2 laptops there. And I'm going to describe what is needed. So one of them is a Latitude E5530, a Dell. And it only had 4 gigs of RAM. Don't even realize how old this is. They want it just as a spare. You know what? It already had a solid-state drive. It was locking up and some issues. We ran the hardware diagnostics, which you really have to do just to make sure, hey, there's no CPU problem, no RAM problem, no motherboard issue. That passed. Once we determined that, We seen it was only 4 gig of RAM. We got 4 gig chips laying around, DDR3. Threw a 4 gig in there. Now it's 8 gig. We wiped the drive, put Windows 10 from scratch. Beautiful. We just have to finish a little couple configs tomorrow, and they have a spare. Different client. Same issue. A Lenovo, and it's an older Lenovo, and it's got a mechanical drive in it. So after doing the hardware diagnostics, I don't like putting money into a system that we learn later there's a hardware problem. So at least do the built-in diagnostics that comes with the system. So with that laptop, took all day today. It was running and it passed everything. So we were doing other things while that was running. Once that passed, that's it. I got the client's approval. I said, look, this is going to be a spare system. We'd like to put a solid state drive, redo Windows 10 on the new drive. Good to go. We've now taken 2 old problem systems, and they now have nice spares that can operate that, even though they're old. So you can keep things going. Add a little RAM, maybe redo Windows, make sure there's a solid state drive. These are cost-effective upgrades that you can do for a client to keep the old hardware running, and great use as a spare. So wanted to share that and share some of those stories. These are things we just keep working on. Actually there's 2 more stories here. That's right. New Dell desktop that the last patch Tuesday killed the NIC card. Well, it didn't kill it 100%. It made it like only some things, like it would stop on YouTube videos. Some websites wouldn't even load. Very strange. My son was working on the problem remotely. He texted me and he said, this was last Friday, I think. He texted me and said, Dad, I'm having all kinds of problems. I said, let me in. Couldn't even he was in with instant house call, but it wouldn't let us conference. And I'm like, wow, what's going on? I said, this smells like a DNS problem. So he has Verizon. He has Verizon Fios. That's right, for his and using the default DNS. I said, let's put Google's DNS 8x8x8x8, and then level 3 for the secondary, so 4.2.2.1. We change the DNS, things start working. And of course, we got to clear the cache. So now we're getting real geeky. So you open up command prompt, type ipconfig/flush DNS. That clears all of the DNS, so you don't have to reboot. Always do that when you're changing DNS. Looks like it was working. Nope. Still some things slowing down. I was like, all right, let's eliminate the NIC card. He goes straight Wi-Fi, everything running beautiful. I said 2 things. I said, it was getting late on Friday. I said, I'm going to research this, see what I can find. You order a USB to Ethernet adapter on Amazon, and for like $12 it would be delivered by Sunday to him. I said, great, then you can bring it in on Monday, and at least you know you're going to be Ethernet. Even though the Wi-Fi startup was working great, he did that. I said, that's always good to have anyway as an adapter. Well, we discovered, I did over the weekend, that Dell released an emergency driver for this particular Intel NIC. So I think they killed it by updating the driver on Wednesday when everything started happening, and it was right after the updates. And then they released on Thursday a driver. We installed that on Monday. Boom, problem fixed. So just beware of drivers being updated by Microsoft that causes issues. So the last patch Tuesday, I'm now waiting. What other Intel drivers or update it for clients that are lurking out there that we haven't had to call. I'm very surprised that I haven't gotten any more calls yet, but that was from the last Patch Tuesday. Last story before I get to email, and this is an Excel repair and Outlook crashing. Once you hear 2 Office products crashing, that's it. I do a quick repair. The quick repair went so far, failed with an error. I'm like, okay, let's try the full repair. Full repair. Went about 3/4, it started installing, failed on an error. I was like, uh-oh, here we go. So the only fix, and this fixed everything, I had to manually uninstall Office. And this is Office 365. And I was lucky that the uninstall worked. Reboot it, then went to his account, downloaded Office 365, let it install. It installed clean with no problems, and then everything worked. So just strange that the quick repair ran into errors, and then the full repair ran into errors, but manually uninstalling and reinstalling fixed the problem. This is just a peek into some of the problems that we're dealing with all the time. I have a stack more, but I knew it can go on forever. And I will do another show with more stories in the trenches, from the trenches later. Want to get to 2 emails. And this one, this is an easy one. But this is Terry from Arizona. He starts, I received a call from a friend yesterday. He said he bought a new HP printer and he could not print. Now, in parentheses, he has, I don't know why he didn't call me. I ask that all the time. When clients buy printers, they're unhappy, they have problems. Why didn't you let us know so we can weigh in? He continues, he said he called HP and let a tech take control of his computer. He said that tech did a lot of work on his computer. The tech said he needed network encryption for $4,500. Now, all of you listening are like, no, you're however you're listening or watching, you're now yelling at the screen, please tell me he didn't do it. Well, he didn't. So he refused the offer and then hung up. And he says, this sounds like a scam to me. You think? Yeah, this absolutely was a scam. And I'll tell you exactly how it happened. And I wonder if who he talked to was really from HP. No, it absolutely was not from HP. Your friend Googled HP tech support or HP phone number, and the first, he probably picked the first one, which was an ad, and it was a bad actor at the other end of the line who's going to try to scam you. Now, Terry, your friend should absolutely run some things like Rogue Killer, even the free Malwarebytes, Super Anti spyware. Throw the kitchen sink at making sure he is malware clean, and also rootkits. So when you're running Malwarebytes, go into the advanced option and check to actually have it check for rootkits. I'm concerned that he spent a lot of time on the computer and there could be really bad things. Look at what date it was installed. Now, this doesn't guarantee that you're going to remove everything, but once you know the date that the guy was in, go to the apps and look installed when, and take a look at the dates and look for strange things that were installed on that day and make sure you remove them. So, Terry, you got a little more work, and hopefully your friend wasn't compromised on other things, and hopefully there's no keylogger or anything installed that's passing on information. But I would, immediately get Malwarebytes running, and then start running everything. And also, I want you to run Rogue Killer. All right, last email, and I'm going to try a quick answer here for Dexter, but I don't think this is going to solve it. He says, I have someone that's having failed logins on a server. They are local. Started after a user password change. I do not know what's causing it. I think it is local from SAM6 based on network info below. I do not think it is a service, process, or scheduled tasks of some type. I have checked. Any ideas? You know, the first thing, if you change a password and no one can get in, go back and look. Is the account locked? Unlock the account. Think of the network layout. Is there something else that could be using his account that's locking it out? I ran into this with a client once. Every time we reset it, an hour later, the account was locked. That means there was some other device or something that kept trying to log in, and it was reaching its limit, and it was locking the account. So I want you to think about other things on the network, not just his system. So very strange that it's not working. Now, this doesn't solve your problem, but any chance you can back up whatever you need to from his profile or anything and delete the account and recreate it, and then now you're going to have a whole new SID for the security, and see if that helps you with connecting. Is there a profile problem on the machine that's corrupt? And you may need to fix that profile or try another profile, you know, if you're able to. Again, you got to make sure you have everything secured for backup in case, you know, we screw something up. So a couple things. I don't know. I'm being pretty simple, Dexter, and I think you might have covered all this. I'm not sure. So let me know, especially if you found it and it's nothing I talked about here. Please let me know. That is it for tonight's show. I really appreciate everybody who contributes to the show. I really appreciate Photo Ray for everything he's done on Discord. I haven't been utilizing that enough, and I promise we're going to start doing that. And I want to do some post shows where we can all gather on Discord like we did for New Year's Eve. And you know, it's very easy to sign up for Discord. This is the forums just for the Mike Tech Show. What I want you to do is go to MikeTechShow.com. In the show notes, there's a Discord link. Click on that. It's free. Sign up and then announce yourself. So this way we know you're not a robot. And then we'll lift your permissions so then you can part. I like what Taz did. You are free to walk in the cabin. So that was great. So see, I do log in. I do see the stuff from Discord and I reply. So you also get the show schedule, everything. It's great. There's a lot of good things happening there. So we got a lot of people that signed up. So check out the Discord. Please support the sponsors, Instant House Call, and of course, Magnus Box, and then Fabs Auto Backup. I haven't talked about them in a while. So there's always a link in the show notes for Fabs Auto Backup 7 Pro. Can't live without it. That's a program we use all the time when we're upgrading a system or transferring or moving someone from one system to another. And we're going to use it again. That new system's going to come into play with that new client, and we're going to move that into place for someone else. So, of course, we got to transfer everything, so we're going to use Fabs. All right, that's it. Hopefully everybody has a great week. Boy, stay cool. Whew, man, is it hot. Hot here in Pennsylvania. It's cooler where my house is in Florida right now today. It is so hot, so stay cool, stay safe, and see you back here same time, same channel. Bye-bye.